Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing fantastic out there tonight and certainly had yourselves a great day. And I hope you all are having a great week out there so far. Hopefully, for most of us, you have a short week. I imagine most of us do not work Thanksgiving, but hopefully you even got Friday off. If not, hope you're making the most out of it regardless and having a fantastic week so far. Here to give you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise over the next few days. We'll kind of give you some update and information for your Thanksgiving Day, for your Black Friday into the weekend. And then we will even go further than that. We'll speak on next week, the last few days of November into the first few days of December. So for that portion of the video, we're trying to figure out, is there any kind of storm signal? Is there really anything to break down? But the next thing we really want to try to figure out is, where is this cold air going to dump? Because I do think some cold air will spill into the lower 48. We'll try to figure out where that is going to spill in this video and kind of gauge our confidence on what's going to happen basically over the next 7 to 10 days. So we'll break it all down for you folks. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything I can pray about or pray over, please put those in the comments below so I can do that and so others can do so too. So let's talk about what's going on right now. There's a lot of people probably going live. You're probably tuning in to Storm Chasers, live feeds, whatever it is. Guys, I don't go live. Maybe that's something that I can put on my channel on down the road, years on down the road when I can do this full time. But there's some ongoing severe weather. There was a tornado that was just reported by some storm chasers just outside of, I believe it was Hartford, Alabama, northwest of Hartford, Alabama. Legit tornado. As the sun's going down, you could kind of see it in kind of the darkness of the evening out there. So please be careful. Listen, the severe weather threat is not done. Even my area here in central South Carolina has a severe risk through the evening and the overnight hours. So, if you're tucked into this area of the country, the southeast, this thin line of storms, there could be some embedded rotation, some embedded spin-ups. We just had a confirmed tornado. They had visibility on it and everything. So hopefully it's not doing any big time damage. But this was, if you don't know where Hartford, Alabama is, that's in southeast Alabama. So stay weather aware in those areas, even in South Georgia, even in the rest of the panhandle of Florida, okay? But we'll kind of give you some update information from the Storm Prediction Center here in a second. But look at all this moisture into the mid-Atlantic. We got heavy interior northeast snow. Let me know what you're seeing out there, how much snowfall you get overnight into tomorrow morning. I would love to know. Thank y'all this morning for commenting your reports in like Wisconsin and other areas of the country. It's always appreciated. And then we had the beginning stages of a system entering the Pacific Northwest. So moving and talking about tonight, we're not going to get super detailed on this tonight, but just know that there's going to be a line of storms that makes its way through the rest of Georgia, South Carolina, eventually eastern North Carolina, and then maybe even southeast Virginia. That's why you got a marginal risk all the way up to the southern sections of the Delmarva region, all the way up into southern Maryland. Slight risk down here, and if you're in this marginal risk, you basically have a 2% risk of a tornado. Okay, so please be weather aware. I know that's low, but you still got a risk. So the severe weather threat will continue all the way to basically the Wednesday morning period. And there could be some severe weather into tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, you look at day 2, and there is a very small marginal risk for eastern North Carolina. So we'll watch out for that and give you some updated information on that in the morning. So please be weather aware in the Carolinas tonight, the rest of Georgia, southeast Virginia. We're not going to get an outbreak or anything, but you're going to have the potential for a severe thunderstorm warning, maybe a brief spin up. So please be careful and heed the warnings well. So what's going on out there right now as far as watches and warnings? Winter weather advisories continue for the Northeast ahead of all this precipitation moving in. Windy conditions are still out there. You got some high wind warnings kind of in the areas of extreme western sections of New York, wind advisory around Erie, but this is a big system about to move in just in time for Thanksgiving for the northern Rockies. Winter weather advisories in the purple here in these counties in Idaho, Montana. But if you look at the teal blue color right here, that is winter storm watches. And some of these areas could have brief and at times blizzard conditions in Wyoming with the system. A lot of these areas will get upgraded to winter storm warnings here. Maybe by the time we're waking up tomorrow morning, you'll see these areas in winter storm warnings. Right now, winter storm watches. And then I expect winter storm watches to extend into Colorado as we get into tomorrow. So winter storm moving in just in time for Thanksgiving. If you enjoy the idea of a white Thanksgiving, your dreams are going to come true with this, because this is certainly going to be a wintry Thanksgiving and dangerous for travel. So let's take a look at the H-triple-R model. Let me adjust myself a little bit there. Let's take a look at the H-triple-R model, talk about what it's showing. Remember, this only goes out 48 hours. So we're starting this tomorrow evening. We got lower elevation rain falling in Idaho, higher elevation snow in Idaho. This precipitation begins to overspread areas of western Montana, especially southwest Montana. This will be in the form of some heavy snow. Snow levels begin to drop in these regions. So even in some of these lower elevations, you're getting snow. We're getting all the way out to Thursday morning. This is when the snow starts to inch into the northern counties. What is it? The Bighorn Mountains of northern Wyoming, places like that. You know, the Yellowstone National Park. All these higher elevations will be favored for heavier snow, obviously, with the higher terrain. But snowing at a moderate to heavy pace. I mean, in almost all of southern Montana, except extreme southeast Montana. Okay, this continues. Okay, we'll go out another 6 hours. And here it goes. It's starting to sort of take over northern Wyoming. And I'm going to pull up Google Maps really quick just so I can name a couple towns, cities, things like that. But you stop it here, and this is as far out as the H-triple-R model goes, all the way till about late morning, midday Thursday, Thanksgiving. Okay, it's snowing in a pretty decent clip in all of southern Montana and northern Wyoming. You still got this banding of snow moving through northeast areas of Nevada, snowing in eastern sections of Idaho, and we even got some snow beginning to fall in this higher mountain range here in northern sections of Utah. So this is as far out as the H-triple-R model goes. So I have to look at the Euro at this point now. But you know, areas like Billings, Montana, along the Interstate 94 corridor. You know, you start to get down into Colorado. White Thanksgiving is looking likely. But, you know, you start to get into right when you're having Thanksgiving lunch, Thanksgiving dinner, whenever you're having Thanksgiving. I mean, you got an all-out snowstorm starting to take over pretty much almost all of Wyoming at this point. Snow's beginning to taper off in Montana, but all this moisture begins to take over areas of northern Utah, northeast Nevada. It's still snowing in eastern Idaho, snowing in just about all of Wyoming at this point, and this is starting to head down the front range, spill down the front range of Colorado at this point. Snowing heavily in pretty much, you know, Casper. How do y'all pronounce it? Gillette? I think it's Gillette. Gillette, please correct me there. Snow potentially getting all the way over to Rapid City. It's snowing even in areas of western Nebraska at this point, okay? And this continues. We're getting into the middle of the night, Thanksgiving night. Then we're getting into our Black Friday morning or Friday after Thanksgiving. You know, people might be trying to, you know, get all the deals or whatever you do if you're shopping. Waking up Friday morning, the 24th, it's snowing in western Nebraska. It's snowing in Denver. I think snow begins to move in Thanksgiving evening in Denver. Cheyenne, it's snowing. Colorado Springs, it's snowing basically all the way down the front range. Where's that? Interstate 25. It's snowing down all of the Rockies in Colorado. I mean, it's this potential you guys are even going to see snow in Salt Lake City. Okay. It's still snowing heavily in southern Wyoming. And you keep this going, guys. I mean, we get all the way to Friday afternoon, still snowing. We could have an area of heavier snow even in eastern Colorado, even in western Kansas, guys. Okay, and we continue, and we'll talk about Kansas a little bit more here in a second. So we'll talk about just the Rockies here. But, you know, we finally get all the way to Sunday morning, and you're just very, very cold at this point with snow-covered grounds. And it's definitely going to be a snowy Thanksgiving and a couple days after Thanksgiving for this area. So how much snow? I know a lot of people was like, Mitch, just tell us how much snow we're going to get. So this is the blend of all models. I mean, look at Wyoming. Look at Idaho. So, you know, even in these lower elevations of Idaho, guys, I mean, you guys could get a couple inches of snow, you know. I don't think Boise's going to get any snow. I think most of this really starts to develop east of Boise, but Idaho Falls, I think you guys are going to get accumulating snow from this. Twin Falls, just in those lower elevations tucked in between those higher elevations of the Rockies. But, you know, you certainly could get a little bit of snow in Salt Lake City, and certainly in these higher terrains right here in the mountains of northern Utah. And then the Rockies, I think if you're vacationing in the Rockies, whether you're near Colorado, up into Wyoming, you might get snowed in. So just expect there's a lot of snow coming for these regions. But this is a broader look, okay? I think Billings could certainly see a good bit of snow. But you might be right at the cutoff. You might have to get just south of Billings to really see the big time accumulating snow. But let's go on and close in on Wyoming. Okay, heavy snow. This is one of your bigger snowstorms of the season so far. And I mean, Riverton, you guys could get a lot of snow, several inches of snow. Casper, yeah, it just depends on your elevation. That's why I always kind of almost shy away from talking in the western U.S. But this is why I try to zoom into these states, do something a little different than maybe other weather YouTubers. But it's up to you guys to gauge where you are on the map. When it's talking about my folks in the Carolinas, the Southeast, I mean, I can spit out like names and areas like it ain't nothing because I'm familiar with this area, the Southeast and the Eastern U.S. Out west is a little bit different, so I'd like to zoom into these maps. Not everybody has access to this because this is a paid site, and this is what I do. I come on here and help you guys out. But this is the National Blend of All Models, which basically blends pretty well with the National Weather Service forecast. So this is what the Blend of All Models is saying, not an official forecast, but if you look at the National Weather Service forecast for this, we can only go out to about Friday evening. It's still snowing in these areas. Okay, but it matches up pretty well. Okay, so that's a closer look at Wyoming. All right, and it does show areas of Utah also. Okay, these higher terrain just outside of Salt Lake City, and a little closer look at eastern Idaho. But let's go down here to Colorado. Okay, we can mention some of these areas in Colorado, and this goes all the way out through about Sunday morning, guys. It's going to be a tough forecast for like Denver, the foothills. It really is. Denver, it's tough. We can actually zoom into the Denver region here. Let's see if we can do it really fast for you guys. Closer look at Denver, guys. I mean, it just depends. This could be an event where you get more snow outside the higher elevations, maybe just like the plateau of eastern Colorado and the plains of Colorado. But if you read the discussion from the National Weather Service out of the Denver Boulder region, it's going for around 2 to 3 inches of snow in the Denver area. So it just depends on where you are. If you're in the foothills, probably a couple more inches. You head on down the interstate to Colorado Springs. What is that, Pueblo? I think that's how you pronounce it. You guys could see maybe more. Okay, so let's go on and zoom back out and look at Colorado as a whole again. But I mean, guys, this isn't just going to be for the front range. Obviously, very heavy snow is possible for the higher terrain of northern New Mexico and Colorado. But guys, I mean, even look at the Blend of All Models down Interstate 70. Okay, even up Interstate, what is that? Interstate 76, guys. I mean, snow even in eastern Colorado. Okay, so for a lot of these areas, the snow won't move in until like on past Thanksgiving, probably more so Friday. But this could be an all-out snowstorm for you guys in eastern Colorado. Very well could. So any areas out here in eastern Colorado, there's the potential for 3 to 5 inches of snow, I would say, if I had to take a guess at it. So let's go on and move to the south central U.S. Okay, we'll start off Saturday morning, the 25th. Okay, look at the little bit of light snow showing up, a little bit of a wintry mix, all as far south as Amarillo, guys. Even some snow showing up in the panhandle of Oklahoma. We got to wait and see what this looks like once we get into these short range models. This is still around the 100 hours out kind of range, but it does show a period of moderate snow, even into sections of, western Kansas. Okay, and this continues to overspread, and then some kind of low could develop, and you could have deeper moisture that gets going, and you could have an accumulating snow event in the heart of Kansas as we're getting into Saturday. Even some snow showing up in just northwest Oklahoma. Now, some model guidance does differ, but the Euro typically is a warmer bias model, but this shows snow as far south as Woodward, Oklahoma. Okay, we got snow pretty much overspreading Dodge City. Okay, Salina. Could we get some in Wichita Falls? And it looks like the storm loses some steam as it gets into Sunday. This brings a little bit of light snow into Kansas City and even St. Louis. Very light, very, very light. Just a cold rain down here for the most of the rest of Texas, and even Oklahoma City, Tulsa, this shows rain. Now, guys, please, if I mention your area, this is not a forecast. We'll continue to fine-tune this. It's only Tuesday. This is for Saturday and a Sunday. But the models have been showing the system for a while now, so we're starting to get closer to it, but certainly some snow in these areas. And, we're definitely going to have a chance of accumulating snow also in, Nebraska. Okay. But interesting setup with this, with a lot of cold air. Luckily, the cold air doesn't dig like super far deep into Texas like it does sometimes with these cold fronts that come in. But this is potential snowfall from the blend of all models, okay? And it shows several inches of snow, okay, in western areas of Kansas and southwest and western and southern sections of Nebraska. Talking about 6 to 8 inches of snow in certain areas, okay? So this is going to be interesting to watch. Goodland, Colby, Nebraska, Kansas, McCook, North Platte, I would watch Imperial, certainly Julesburg, Colorado. Definitely accumulating snow coming up Thanksgiving night, probably more so into Friday and Saturday. Okay, this could become a bigger event for our folks in Kansas, and we could get maybe a little bit of accumulating snow in the far western panhandle of Oklahoma. It's very possible, guys. So we'll keep you updated on this. This is going to be a pretty big event that's kind of trended higher, but there's definitely some uncertainties with this, just like there always is with these front range systems. But let's talk about the potential for cold air coming. Okay, this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. The 27th through the 1st of December was issued today. Chance for below average temperatures for the last few days in November look likely, especially for the Ohio River Valley, for areas of the Mid-South. Confidence is the highest there. But, listen, this is pretty much a board-wide event as far as below average temperatures, unless you live in the extreme western sections of the U.S. We even go as far out as the 29th, the 5th of December, guys. Below average temperatures still hanging around for the eastern U.S. So, it makes you wonder. Okay, a lot of people are just throwing December completely out as far as a month that's going to be cold or wintry for the eastern U.S. Typically with El Niños, strong El Niños, December is not a favorable month for cold and winter weather. So a lot of winter weather fans are kind of bummed about that, including me, but that's the thing, guys. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens. So that's why I'm not big into long range stuff. So sure enough, the first 5 days of December predicted from the National Weather Service to be below average for the eastern U.S., an area of the country that, most are predicting to be well above average for the month of just December. Not January and February, just December. But as far as, rising heights, lower heights, low pressure, high pressure, how does this look like? Why are we going to potentially get this dump of cold air? Well, in the orange, the warmer colors, that's ridging, okay? In the blues, that's troughing. Low pressure in the blues, high pressure in the reds. High pressure typically is associated with warmer than average temperatures and quiet weather. Low pressure is typically cooler than average temperatures and stormy weather. So there's that storm moving across the country right here. You see it. This is moving through. Okay. And then watch what happens. A ridge builds over, western Canada. We got some troughing, upper trough situated over areas of the western U.S. This will keep us probably cooler than average out here for sure into the weekend, giving us that snowstorm. And then what happens after we get into next week? We get a big trough that's showing up that has linkage from the Arctic Circle. So this is a nice dump of cold air. I say nice if you're a cold weather fan. This is a dump of cold air, especially into the Great Lakes region from the GFS ensemble all the way into the eastern U.S. And what happens here is, this is as far out as it goes right now. It only goes about a week out, but definitely shows a signal for solid troughing, which is cooler than average temperatures, into the central and eastern U.S. Now, whatever this is, this will be interesting, okay? But you got a ridge, and this is kind of funky. You got kind of looks like an attachment of some kind of southern stream energy down here. So we got to watch with any southern stream energy that kind of gets close to all this cold air sitting right here. Okay, so what does that mean as far as temperatures? Well, we know it's going to be very cold, very, very cold in the middle of the country. Okay, Colorado, where this snowstorm will happen, and places like that. But as we're getting into the weekend, I think you'll get a blast of cold air into the Northeast. I think it could be a very cold weekend for the Northeast. Areas in the green, that is, 10 to 15 degrees below average. So cold days ahead. Continue to move forward. Okay. And then here comes that cold air coming from Canada. It's already cold in the middle of the country. Okay, the high plains, places like that, the south central U.S., and the Rockies. Okay, but then here comes this cold air that begins to blast into the central U.S. and then the eastern U.S. as we are getting into the last few days in November, with temperature anomalies anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees below average. Okay, this will bring widespread freezes, things like that, and some very cold temperatures to the eastern U.S. as we get about a week from today. Okay, so we need to fine tune that as we get closer. But I can tell you, if you were to keep this going, okay, and let me make sure I'm on the right thing. Yeah, I am. So we're good. If you keep this going, all right, and once we get a week out, past a week, it really gets into unreliable time period. But man, what I can tell you guys is it really looks like colder than average temperatures just stick around for a lot of the lower 48. You're getting all the way out to the last day of November. Look at them colder than average temperatures, just kind of just not wanting to budge. You get all the way through the first couple of days of December. I mean, you still got below average temperatures showing for the south and the eastern U.S. with warmer average. Now, this is an El Nino look right here. So what about precipitation? Okay. It looks like through the 27th to the 1st of December, below average precipitation is going to set up for the middle of the country in the western U.S. And this looks like because you're going to have a lot of cold air dumps, so the jet stream is going to get pushed to the south. Therefore, areas of South Texas and then Florida is going to stick out into what we call the southern jet. So you're probably going to have chances of rain that continues with around average in between. Okay. What about the 8 to 14 day range? That's the 29th through the 5th of December. Showing signs of the southern jet becoming much more active. Okay, you have a chance of above average precipitation to the south, below to the north. This is your El Nino look for sure. So what about any energy flying around? Are we seeing anything in the models? Well, we'll take a look at the latest Euro from earlier this afternoon. All right, and there's that snow that we just broke down. We could have another system that flies into the southeast, brings some more rain as far north as the Carolinas. It definitely will bring some soggy conditions for this weekend for Florida. But there's that system shooting across the middle of the country. This could try to link up with a low pressure off the coast of the northeast sometime early next week. This could bring another interior northeast snow and just rain for the coastal regions. Okay. And then this is when the cold air tries to dump down, moves over the Great Lakes. And then we have another shot. Remember, we kind of talked about it a couple of days ago and it never materialized, but we'll have another shot of some intense lake effect snow if this cold air does move over the Great Lakes. So you see all these areas in blues. This is getting into the last couple of days in November. Could have a hefty lake effect snow event if this cold air does in fact drop down. Could have a clipper system that basically enhances it too. So we'll have to watch all these little pieces of energy. What I can tell you guys is it might get a little bit more quiet for a few days, or maybe even several days for the deep south. So maybe as this trough digs down, you see these blue lines, basically the dip in the jet stream really digs down. This is going to push the storm track into the Gulf of Mexico for a time. Okay. And you could have a longer period of lake effect snow. It's very possible. And we go all the way out to, the last frame, which takes us to the morning of December 1st. And, there's not really any high-end activity ongoing over the next 10 days. There really isn't. So that could change. Okay, now what about the GFS? Same deal. You watch that energy over Florida. Then we're getting into Sunday morning. We'll watch this system. Okay, this could bring some snow to Chicago sometime Sunday, maybe areas of Illinois, northern Indiana, the Great Lakes region, the Midwest. Okay, and then we could have a clipper that kind of flies down, tries to connect with this. A lot of cold air on top, low pressure right here. What does this do? Not sure. We need to watch this system, but this really gets the lake effect snow machine going across all the Great Lakes as cold air spills down into late weekend this weekend into the first couple of days of next week. Okay, you see all the moisture bubbling around in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll have to watch that. And then we start to get about a week out. No real big storm systems out there. Cold air on top, warmer air at the bottom. And then here comes a big system kind of around the last day of November, first day of December. But this is getting to the 10-day range. Very unreliable. So I guess what I'm trying to say, guys, is, there's no huge storm signal showing up besides what's in front of us, what we just broke down. We have to watch the northeast into this weekend. After that, I'm not seeing anything too crazy. So what you're seeing here is the rain that's going to continue to move through with the system moving through right now. What about after this? Okay, we start to get into this weekend. Not a whole lot for Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Okay, we start to get into about a week from today. I mean, not a big signal for much rain. And then we start to get about 10 days out. Okay, you start to see a signal begin to crease along the Gulf Coast, but I do think it'll be drier for a period. Okay, I think that we're in the beginning stages of a much active pattern across the Deep South, but it's a work in progress. Okay, for the drought-stricken areas that continue to need more rain. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in this evening. God bless all y'all, and I'll have you an update in the morning.